Okay, great. So we're recording now. So just really quickly, can we get acknowledgement that we agree to share this video publicly with a thumbs up? Great. Thank you guys. And with that, oh, we got Maria. Hey, Maria, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, good. So you're going to join our recruitment team meeting tonight?
Oh, because you said Katie as well and I at the end.
Yeah, we said goodbye to you guys because we weren't expecting you to be in this meeting.
No, yeah, because you said Katie and I like 5 minutes, just a break. So yeah, I'm gonna head out because I'm going to work. So I don't know if you guys are going to work on the production team as well with the outreach, you, Jared, for the video.
Yeah, thank you for asking that. Let me pause this recording real quick. Okay, so we'll resume. Okay, great. So I want to, well, first of all, again, just take a moment to thank and acknowledge you guys, especially Cassidy, all the work you put in over the weekend on HubSpot and the templates, super awesome. And thank you, Tatiana and Isatu and Mariana for all of your work as well. I'm going to let Cassidy take it away. There's a bunch of places I'm sure I'm going to want to jump in, but I want to let you to go ahead and take it away, Cassidy, and lead the meeting. Go for it. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Jared. Let me share my screen. I'll share the agenda for tonight. So we already, so for the minutes, Isatu normally takes them, but since she isn't here, Tatiana, are you willing to take the minutes for this meeting tonight?
Yes, I can take the minutes.
Okay, thank you. Perfect. I didn't want to forget to ask that.
Actually, let me take a look, because actually I think, Tatiana, you only have 2 hours available to the recruitment team this week. Is that right? Am I remembering correctly?
Yes.
So I'd actually prefer, let me look real quick at how many hours Isatu and Mariana have available, because I don't think I want to have one of your hours used for the processing of the minutes, since you have just so few hours this week, Tatiana. I think I'd rather have Isatu or Mariana. Let's go to recruitment. So Isatu has 3 hours. Mariana has 5 hours. So I think I'd rather have Mariana put one of her hours into processing the minutes, even though she won't do it live. We can have her do it from the video. Is that for you guys?
Works for me.
Yeah, I mean, anything that you want to take like in real time, Tatiana, to give to Mariana as a starting point, and then she can go through the video. That's totally fine. I just don't want you to spend time after this meeting, working on that. I'd rather have it go towards whatever we're talking about for the recruitment team for the week. Sound good? Okay, great. So let's you want to put Mariana on the, got it. Okay, perfect.
Perfect. Okay, so we got that. So I wanted to talk to you, Jared, and I think I understand where the confusion is between you and the team, but I know you had talked in the chat about just like discussing the confusion with the email template. So I'll stop sharing so we can talk about that.
Yeah, I'll go through, thank you. I'll go through it really quickly because again, like I shared, I was going to make a video today, but I thought it'd just be easier to talk it out. So, okay, so let's go to your templates, well, our templates, the one that you worked on, particular Cassidy. So you worked on the schools, and actually, as I'm thinking about it, what I wanted, let me actually show the video, because I want to start with, like, I thought that I was making it, clear as to what I was asking last week. Let me go back. I'm jumping around now in my head. Let me go back to your template. So here, you were filling out for schools we have not contacted at all. And then we have the other three categories: schools who denied us, but we have not reached out to; schools who denied us, we have reached out to, but have not heard back from; and schools who denied us, we have reached out to and they have responded, but we have not responded back. So these three categories are all categories of schools, starting with schools who denied us, and then where it goes from there. And I know you said that the number one categorization in HubSpot is schools we have not contacted at all. And I saw that, and I went in, let's go ahead and do it again just for illustrative purposes. So I'm in HubSpot. We've got the universities. I'm clicking more filters. So more filters, I'm going to communication stage. Communication stage is any of never before contacted. As you're saying, Cassidy, this is what we have the most of. There's like 75 or at least more than 50 schools that are marked as never before contacted. So as an example, let's just use like Baylor as an example that's in that list. And we go into HubSpot. So first of all, just in general, well, let's go back there. Just in general, right now, for the most part, as far as I know, the only schools, the 100 schools that are in HubSpot are the 100 schools that have denied us. So as far as I know, actually none of the schools currently in HubSpot should have a never before contacted designation. And so like for Baylor in particular, again, when we go into the schools, more schools on Handshake, we search for Baylor, and we find Baylor, and we find that we're declined by Baylor. So it seems like it falls into one of the three other categories. And then it has this comment. And that's where, most of these schools already have, this specific comment in terms of, what they said. And here, that's not anything that they said really. But then for most of them, we already have, replied, where I replied they denied us on January 21st. I replied on January 27th. So this is one that should be in the category of schools who denied us and we reached out to but have not heard back, right? So it seems like Baylor should be a number 3 rather than a number 1. And it seems like, again, from what I can tell, all of the schools in here should be either category 2, 3, or 4, and none of them currently as a number 1. So when we go to our decline, when we select just declined and we narrow it down to decline, this is where we have the 100 schools that have declined us, and as far, or 120 or whatever it is. And as far as I know, these again are these are the only schools that are in HubSpot right now. This is how we built our HubSpot list, was from the schools that have declined us. So that's where I wasn't clear, Cassidy, about one, how any schools are currently marked as in this first category, and then 2, I appreciate that you spent the time on this template, but I wasn't sure why it wasn't going into this template, because I thought this was the template that you really were meaning, ones that we maybe haven't reached out to, who denied us and we maybe haven't reached out to. But I'm not even sure now which one is the most. I think we might have sent that message I just showed to like the 100 schools or what have you. So again, I hope you can see my confusion a little bit, and maybe you can help clear it up now in terms of how they're categorized and whether they've been cross-checked against all of these denials and whether there were comments in there and that sort of thing.
Yeah, well, so once I saw your video last week, I realized that was a confusion. I think that that was potentially a miscommunication from the beginning, that I didn't even realize that we got the schools from Handshake, because it's been, I feel like, a long time since we talked about Handshake. So it sort of just slipped my mind altogether. Because we created those categories a long time ago. So I think just from the get-go, I just didn't understand. So I apologize for that. With the Handshake comments, I didn't know that existed. So those have not been cross-referenced because I've never seen that category before. I thought that all of the communication with schools would be in HubSpot because that's what it was for. So yeah, I've never seen that section in Handshake before.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I know, that's where it was probably your first or your second week in the project that we talked about it and we looked at it. And that was where, I don't know if we got into the specific comments when we even did that. And that's a real, missing, that we've never gone to this level of detail, but it's where, part of it, I guess I was, relying on not just you. I think I forget who we designated as our HubSpot or our Handshake expert. Was that you, Tatiana? I'm trying to remember who said that they would take on being our Handshake expert, or whether that
We
was you,
said it was
Tatiana.
gonna be me, but then I never got like access to Handshake.
Okay.
Oh, it was just, I thought we were just like going on straightforward to HubSpot because I kind of didn't really see.
Okay. All right. So it's a combination of, comedy of errors almost. And, I apologize for my role in not marshaling this through more or better in the ways that, we're looking at it now. My expectation was that you guys had gotten up to speed and knew the ins and outs of the system better than me, because I still feel like I'm a newbie in it, but at least, I can work my way through it to now know that I go to more schools on Handshake, which shows us everything. So when you go to more schools on Handshake, you get to 50 screens of 20 schools each. So this is 1,000 schools. So this is like all the schools in Handshake. And this is where you can see that we have all of these like open requests, like we haven't requested from these other 900 schools yet. So this is where like Western Michigan University eventually could get into HubSpot and be listed as a #1 school. We haven't reached out to them yet. But all these other schools, when you go again, let me just show you again real quick. When we go to declined, and we look, comment. So this is where, again, a lot of these comments are like, we need to see, this. It was your address is a residential address, or, we need to know this, or whatever it is. We have declined your request because we need additional information. Please update your profile with the following information and resubmit for review. So again, here it is. The address is a residential. Must have a commercial location. That's it. So again, a lot of these just either require some action on our part or require us to send them specific information. And that's why we had the previous template, kind of structured with like all of the fill in the gaps, like whether they need address or whether they need business license or whether they need, whatever. That's why we had the kind of that one email that had everything as the template that we were working off of. Not to say that that's the right way to go, because I understand you guys saying, let's open it up with a more, an easier kind of thing. But the thing that we need to do is we need to open or reopen our conversation with each of these schools with wherever they left off in the comments, right? We can't send Nova Southeastern an email as if we never saw that they said, we want to see your address, reapply when you've got your address squared away, right? It's like, we can't say, hey, what can we do to, make things better? They're going to come back and say, we already told you the address, so that's where, again, it's just more a matter of being tuned into each one of these and giving them exactly what they're looking for. And we have a lot of guidance, from all of those schools. And then again, we have to, here's one where Emma sent them something in July. So they sent us something in July. So we first requested approval for this one in July. Here's what Valerie sent. Emma sent something, and then we didn't hear back from Valerie yet. So again, I think it's at this point, it's really simply a matter of we're going to have to go through HubSpot for each of these schools and update, you know, what we have there, and maybe just something like, you know, copying and pasting this whole thing into notes, maybe is the way that we do it. So this one is Columbia College, Chicago. So, and this is, so we sent to them, but we haven't heard back yet, which is, which option here? So that's number 3. So Columbia College of Chicago. Not Columbia. Oh, so maybe this one isn't in there. Okay, so maybe I didn't pick the best example for that one, but you get the idea. Let's pull up Baylor so that we can have an actual example.
Jared, that one might not have pulled up because you still had that filter. It might not have been selected. I guess my main question, not to interrupt you though, I guess I have a couple of questions regarding all of this.
Yeah.
So the information that's in Handshake with previous comments and conversations, is that in HubSpot? I guess my confusion is why utilize 2 different platforms to communicate? If we could keep everything in Handshake, wouldn't it be cleaner and easier to just communicate that way?
Yeah, if everything was going to be in Handshake, then that would be true. But we're not going to have the entirety of our communications with most of these offices go through Handshake. For what we're going to do is we're going to develop connected relationships with individuals in each of these career services offices, where we're going to be communicating with them via email and other traditional ways that we communicate back and forth, right? So really Handshake is just maybe a couple communications back and forth just to open the door for our email communication and our phone communication and our Zoom communication. So you're right in the sense that anything that's in Handshake is going to have to get copied over to HubSpot, but Handshake cannot be like our client management system, you know, because it's not going to be enough to kind of contain everything we need that HubSpot will.
But none of the information that's in Handshake has been moved to HubSpot previously. Is that correct?
Yeah, not that I know of. I don't think it has.
Okay.
And I think that's again where right now, I would say, and again, this is where I know Cassidy, you've already put in a bunch of hours, and Tatiana, you don't have a bunch. I think this is where, you know, maybe this is going to take like 2 or 3 hours, maybe even a little bit more. But this is where maybe Mariana can put in some of her 5 hours, maybe even all of her 5 hours for the, I'm not sure, but this is yeah, we're going to have trying to think as I'm thinking about it, because in the long run, we want to have the notes that are in Handshake in HubSpot. So, but whether we need to do all of that first before we start calling, I would say no. You know, we can pick our 5 each and just, you know, for the time being, like look at both. But I think we want to, you know, be moving things over as we go. So as I'm saying that, I think it's going to be easier just to copy it over into HubSpot. And maybe that's just the way that we do it. Maybe we just do it, you know, day by day as we're sending out our 5, then we copy those 5 notes over into HubSpot. Maybe that's the most efficient way of doing it. I'm not opposed though to, if you want to carve out some hours from Mariana or Isatu, or anybody, to do that, to do a whole bunch of them, to move them over. I think the way to do it, just again, to make it clear is, let's go to Baylor, the comment. Okay, so this again is where we last reached out and haven't heard back from them. So that's number 3. So then we go into here, we go into Baylor, and then, I think we're going to have to put it in notes. I don't think we can put it in any of the other categories. So then we create a note. So did that, looks like that copied over to make it understandable. So if we want, we can add some extra lines in here just to make it easier to read. Okay, so we did the approval request January 20th, got the decline January 21st, sent out this message on January 27th, and then that's where we stand right now. Okay.
Yeah, I think it would probably at this point be best to just do it as we go, because I don't think that we have the time to really allot to doing this all over again. And we're also obviously going to have to update those communication stages as we're inputting the notes as well, because they're pretty much all wrong. So yeah, I think we should do it as we go.
Yeah, I guess I'm going to have to take responsibility that you didn't know about all of this. I kind of can't believe that, but I understand that if you didn't see it and I didn't tell you, that you wouldn't know. So yeah, I'm sorry, Cassidy.
That's okay. I want to make sure, like you said, we're sending out the appropriate responses to people. So like you said, they're not like, we already told you what we needed and you're asking again. I had no idea that there was any sort of communication happening in Handshake. I thought that everything would happened over HubSpot from the get-go. So I apologize for not digging deeper into that, but I was completely unaware.
Mm-hmm. I understand. Okay, so now that's been updated.
So, I mean, in my opinion, I think a good goal is still to do 5. If we can have everybody select 5 of theirs, get everything completely up to date. And then the only caveat would be, though, that all of those appropriate templates aren't necessarily created because I didn't update the correct ones because I was focusing on the other one.
Right. Yeah.
So
I get that. And that's where, I think you've got a lot of good content in here. So I appreciate the content you added. I'm going to spend some time tonight taking the content that you added and updating these the way that I'm seeing. So that'll make it easier, for me to go in directly and work on these so that we've got at least something to send out tomorrow, even if we're going to tweak it a little bit more from there. But I don't want to have you, Cassidy, spend more time on the templates right now. I think you've done enough with what you did with the one that I can translate it into the others and give us something to work with.
Awesome. And I think, yeah, just getting the ball rolling, because we've been talking about it for so long, finally actually getting to connect with these centers is really going to be important, because we're not going to be able to recruit if we haven't talked to them and if we don't have any postings.
Yeah. And here's the thing is that we also, like we talked about, want to start having these communications, like, for example, with, with your school, Colorado School of Public Health. We haven't even reached out to the career services offices there yet, even though we've had 6 people come through our practicum program. I met, as you know, with Mary Dinger, but she's not in career services offices, right? So we still don't have contacts in the career services office. She mentioned that they have an email newsletter that goes out. We still aren't in that yet. You know, all the things that can be done with Colorado. We have the University of Miami. We really should be doing that. I forgot to mention in our executive team, I have to check with Rick, Dr. Brown, but I had told you guys, because he and I had worked out a couple months ago before the semester even started, that I was going to present to his class next Tuesday on November 1st. So he and I just have been out of touch the last few weeks. I meant to put that on my list today. Let me actually add it to my to-do list to send him an email and see if that's still happening on Tuesday, or if it's getting delayed or what. But so that may be happening next week. And again, you guys know we have a history of the University of Miami and all of that. And the fact that we don't have any University of Miami students right now on the project is really a missing. And also we should really figure out, if I am going to be presenting next Tuesday, what we can do to, what we want me to share or say, or what we can do to use that as a recruitment opportunity, right? Remember, that's how our whole project got started, was presenting to his classes. There was a number of students that were interested and wanted to join on the spot. And that was right around the same time frame. That was the end of October. So, this could be another example where we have, 6 to 10 students out of his class that are interested and ready to join, so because it's going to be, if it happens, it's going to be an hour to an hour and a half presentation. So, I'm able to go into quite a bit of detail and really get them interested and engaged. And now that I'm thinking about it, we have to add that to the outreach team agenda if that's going to be happening as well, because the whole team should be working on that to a certain degree. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to show you as I got into this more, and so now I think, Cassidy and Tatiana, I think you've seen most of now the new functionality in Handshake that you haven't seen. Although, again, there's still things like, I still haven't gotten all these, although I don't think they're applying that much to us, but they could. We could do some of this stuff at some point, but there's still, functionality and features in here. Plus all of this, which is like paid stuff that maybe we want at some point. I didn't even know what those things do for us. So we do need to gain some expertise in Handshake, whether that's going to be you, Tatiana, or somebody else. And then the thing that I wanted to show you guys in terms of the ones now. So I added all the ones. Your employers' schools are the ones that have all said yes. And then I added them also to our favorites. So basically our favorites is essentially like a duplicate of your employer's schools. But the one thing I wanted to show you, because it shows here when it got approved, and this happened kind of like under our radar, Stanford approved us on September 1st. So I think we want to develop a relationship with their career services office, right? And there's some other ones too. I think, well, we know Ohio State University, but there's some other, standout universities in here. The Johns Hopkins, Johns Hopkins is one that we, especially for public health students, of course, would love to recruit from. So again, we've got existing ones that we have been approved that we do want to really engage with those career services offices. And we should go through here and see, what are our top priorities, because they're the ones that already, can be sending us students right away. So that's, should be part of our, radar and our agenda, and what we're looking at is going through these. And then again, we do want to prioritize, for all of these decline, which are what are our top ones. And like we've talked about, we do kind of want to, practice a little bit with the ones that are not, necessarily at the top of our list. Like, I don't even know, but if you're going through and you're seeing one that you don't know, like, Columbia College, Chicago, like maybe that's one that we reach out to tomorrow, and maybe some of these other ones that, maybe are lower down on the list in terms of like top schools, basically, again, Arcadia, the ones that I haven't heard of, you haven't heard of, or smaller, or whatever it is. But the bigger ones that we think that we can get, some really, top students from Brown University, Ivy League University, and some other ones, University of Pennsylvania. This is where, again, I guess it's just going to be up to each one of us. I don't know. Do you want to have a system in place as a team where we're kind of, designating tiers of schools and, somehow giving extra attention and care to a top tier school versus a lower tier school? You get what I'm saying? And I just feel like we need to, especially again, as we're getting our footing under us, I don't want like, Stanford and Brown and John Hopkins to be the ones that we're practicing with and that we're getting, our communication down with. Let's get it down with the other ones. And then when we feel really tight, then we can go ahead and, go to these other top tier schools. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think that seems like a good idea. I'm not sure how we can put a true system in place though, like in HubSpot. Is that something we're going to want to go through and categorize again and add another field and do all of that? Or what are your thoughts for how we could accomplish that, I guess?
Yeah, that's the thing, is how do we figure that out? And also, let's look over here, because I haven't played with this. And again, this is where we need somebody to figure this out. Here's ranking. So what does that mean? Is this going to rank these schools now? I don't know what this means, and I don't know what this did. Oh,
I think
maybe.
those are like schools that made it within a ranking. So it's like top 100 regional universities. So those, all of those are somewhere within a ranking.
So all of these are somewhere within the top 100 or something, is what you're saying? So if we don't do ranking, then we've got 100 schools or something along those lines. And then if we do national ranking, that means that they're nationally ranked in some top list. Is that what you're saying, Tatiana?
That's what I think.
Okay. Well, again, let's have some. Is it going to be, Tatiana, do you want to be the expert in this, or do you want to hand it off to somebody else on the team, or who do we want to have tune into the answers for these things?
I could try to be the expert. I just don't have like access to it.
So
like,
again, let's get that sorted out. Cassidy, you're set up with access to Handshake, right? And are you set up with access to be able to give access to Tatiana?
I have access. I don't know if I have access to give other people access, but I can try and figure it out, and I can let you know later tonight if I don't,
Okay.
so that we can.
Okay, I don't remember off the top of my head how we do it. So let's find it out. I'm sure it's just a frequently asked question. Is there? I think we would use your
school email. I think that's what mine is linked to as well.
Yeah, whatever email address, Tatiana, you want to put in the chat, the email address you use for Handshake right now. So that's the way we're setting it up, right, Cassidy? Or are we setting it up with the Uniting for Action email address?
Mine is set up with my school email address, my CU and Shoots email address.
Okay. So I don't know, do you guys, well, I don't want to get into it too much now because I know we have more to cover tonight, but at some point, can one of you check to see or put it on our to-do list if when you're looking up Uniting for Action, if it takes you to my profile, like, you know, I've left my profile blank because I don't really need to fill it out unless somebody's looking at it. But if somebody's looking at it, whether it's students or a career services office, then I don't want it to be blank. So I just wasn't sure if it's viewable from, you know, a link from our company profile or something like that. So in the company profile is where I'm going to add you, I'm guessing. So we still have just Emma on the public staff list, so we've got to get you in there, Cassidy, have Emma come off, whatever the process that is. And seeing where I add, oh, I'm going to add you, Tatiana. Okay, here it is. All right. 2 minutes. Or do we just not have you visible on company profile, Cassie? We can take a look at that if that's the only thing. So, really is the one. Okay, so that's all. Oh, do you want to be visible, Tatiana, on the profile? Oh, so that's it's not visible right now, Cassidy. Cassidy, do you want to be visible on the profile? And Tatiana, do you want to be visible on the profile?
It's fine with me.
Oh, so we should give you a title too, Tatiana.
It looks like you're not visible, Jared, which is potentially why people probably can't go to your actual profile. So you're probably fine to leave it blank unless you make yourself visible, and then you might want to add something, because I'm assuming they could select you from that list and then go like make their way to your profile, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. And so I should be visible, right, as the owner of this. So I should,
Yeah, I think so.
I should update my profile and all of that. So let me do that. Make a note of that. So let's finish this up so we can continue with the rest of the meeting. So what do you want your title to be, Tatiana? Recruitment team. What have we used in the past? I forget.
Maybe just leave it at recruitment team. I can't really
Recruitment
team member or something like that.
We've used some other title like recruitment team. Something like recruitment team. Well, let's leave it at that. Recruitment team representative, recruitment team member, recruitment team you guys think?
I think either one is fine. Member, representative.
Okay. Then you guys can add your bio and stuff if you want. Okay.
And then I was just looking, Jared, and it does look like I can add team members. So if you want, I can add Isa to you and Mariana,
Mhm.
if you think that will be helpful for them to have access.
Yep.
Okay, I'll go ahead and do that then.
So we'll make Emma not visible any longer since you guys will be visible. Oh, but you're not visible. Can I just change that? Okay, good. Okay. So perfect. So it looks like you have to do some kind of acceptance or something, Tatiana. So I'm sure you'll get an email or whatever. Okay, great. So did we cover everything you wanted to cover on Handshake and more?
Yeah, I think the the only thing left for Handshake was just that we were talking about getting a posting up by Wednesday. And so I was looking at the old ones again before. Those ones I think formatted weird, we had talked about before when putting them into like a Google Doc. They look nice and perfect in the PDF, but once they got transferred over to the Google Doc, the formatting got a little weird. But I guess we should, my main question for you, Jared, is if we post something and it's approved, are we able to adjust it like down the line? Like if we want to get something up for the sake of having something up, can we tweak it later? Or is it basically like that is what it has to be until it expires?
That's a good question. So here's the thing. It's when what we've done in the past is we've made a posting and then we've submitted it to all of these schools all at once, right, that we're approved for. And there have been some of the schools that have said, hey, we'll approve it, but you have to change, this first. And the thing is when you change that, it changes it for all of them. So what we may want to do is have separate posting. I don't even know if it's feasible to have a separate posting for every separate school, so that we can edit one for one school and not have it affect all the other ones. But so the first thing is when you edit it, it edits all of them. Now, I think it allows you to edit without having to get approval from everyone again, although changing the end date did prompt approval. Like we set an end date and then we wanted to extend it a month, and then I believe it went back into a pending status for most of the schools. I think maybe some of the schools have like an automatic approval, but I'm pretty sure that it made it run it through the process of approvals again when we asked to extend it. So we have to be sensitive about that. But to answer your first question, I'm pretty sure that we can pretty much edit it without having to resubmit it. But we want to be, sensitive to not edit it too much without resubmitting it, because then, the school is not really getting a chance to approve, what it is that we're posting, right? So they might even have individual. I don't know if it is so granular that they can have like an alert that if it's been edited, then they want to either, they might have a setting whether if it's been edited, they get to reapprove it or they just automatically approve it. That might be a setting, that some schools do one thing and some schools do another. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think the general answer, you know, in terms of you saying we just want to get something out there. We want to get something out there as soon as possible, but we want it to be compelling for the schools and we want it to be effective, right? And we can't just like, if we get the same posting approved by many schools, we can't just change it for some and change it for others and do like testing and that sort of thing. Like I think we kind of like to do. So that's where, you know, maybe we do like, you know, one posting that goes to 5 schools and another posting that goes to another 5 schools and gives us the chance to do A/B testing. You're familiar with A/B testing, right, Cassidy? Where you,
Yeah, I'm like, yes, but refresh my mind. I know I've heard
yeah,
of
yeah. So A/B testing is where you have 2 different versions going out to your audience so that you can see, like, you know, what's the percentage response for A, what's the percentage response for B. Okay, we can see that B is outperforming A by 20 percentage points. So now let's change, you know, all the A's to C and do a new version and see if C can outperform B. Okay,
Mhm.
C is still not outperforming B. Let's replace C with D and see if D can outperform B. Okay, great. Now D is outperforming B. So now we start, you know, changing B and see if B can outperform D. So you're constantly kind of competing against yourself to see what the best version is that you can create by getting that direct feedback from your audience. So rather than you trying to guess what's going to be better, you're actually doing A/B testing all the time so that you're constantly maximizing your results based on actual results. So does that make sense?
Yeah.
So again, it's a pretty sophisticated way of doing all this, especially with all the different versions I just described. But you can see that as we get more sophisticated and more evolved, we want to head down that direction, even if we're not, you know, necessarily doing that today.
Mhm. Yeah, so then I guess with the posting, my question to you is how much work, I mean, the ones that you had, I think the public health one did pretty well, right?
The public health one did decently, and I think that we can do, you know, some updates to that. I think to me, again, I'm anticipating, you know, spending a little bit of time, at least a little bit of time looking at them tonight as I do the templates, because like you're saying, we want to get this out the door and we don't want to, you know, spend days on this. Even we want to get these postings, you know, Wednesday at the latest, although even tomorrow if we're ready to have the new postings out there. You know, I think maybe change the language, maybe change, it's for sure change the title of the change makers or whatever we called it. I don't remember now, the generic one that changed the world thing that people didn't resonate with for whatever reason. Agents of Change, thank you, Tatiana. Agents of Change version that never caught on. So I think, you know, definitely we want to change some of the language around that, and then also add all of the other, you know, specialized job descriptions that we have that we've identified. And that's where, again, even those job descriptions we want to look at, we want to add to them. You know, we really need to dig into the specifics of all this. We have so many specialized roles within the project that we can identify at this point that we can, you know, write a job description for, and, you know, we need to. So we need that needs to be back on our radar again in terms of, like, you know, what are all of our job descriptions right now? What needs to be updated? We need to get all those on the website, you know, on our team page, all of that sort of stuff. Give people a way to apply on the website for specific positions. So again, Mariana, please put all of these as bullet points in the minutes. Thank you. Tatiana, if you're taking any minutes, you can add them in. So, okay, I think any other questions that you have, Cassie? I know there's still more we want to cover today, so I want to, you know, answer any questions and get this wrapped up the way we need to. I know this is a big part of what we're doing, and we want to get this right now.
Yeah, no, I guess my biggest thing is just like what we think is actually feasible to do within the next few days and what you want from the team? I know you said you were going to be looking at it, but how can, you know, we assist in getting this, you know, moving forward?
I think any comments that you guys want to add to those two postings, and I think what we can do is we can find, you know, let's do it now, find, you know, the most recent versions of those postings in our folder, and you guys provide comments on it. Do you have those handy, Cassidy? Should I bring them up now? We just
I
do it
have,
later. I know we're running out of time. Are you guys able to go over a few minutes if we continue past 8:30, or what's you guys' status right now?
yeah, I can do a few extra minutes. I have them linked in the agenda as well.
Oh, you do already? Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I linked. I think it just brings you to the folder because I tried to link the PDF versions, but it gets you there.
Okay, great. Do you want to put the link to the agenda in the chat real quick so I can pull it up here, and then okay, and then I'll let you just continue. Thank you. And I'll let you just continue with the agenda if that covers it. Let me just look really quickly. Thanks. Okay, so non-public health goes to that folder. Public health goes to the folder. So actually, here's the thing: is I'm not sure. Let's go through it. I'm not sure that's going to actually give you the final versions. Okay, so the PDF is, like you said, the final version, but in terms of like providing the feedback, so this is August 20th that we have the final version here. Yeah, I don't think it's even in this folder. Non-public health, yeah. So I think we probably need to move this because I think this is the one. Generalized non-public health, non-public health. So I think it's one of these two. Let's see this one more recent. Let's just look at these two. So agents of change. Okay, and this has all of the additional ones down below. And it's formatted pretty good, even though it's in the Google Docs, right? This one at least has got decent formatting. So, so this may be our final. Yeah, so this is what we used for Handshake. So let's see if we've got some updates in here. All right, let me send both to you because I'm not sure which is more updated right now. So we can sort through these two versions, but this gives you more specific direction than the folders you just shared with us. So let's put this. Lost which link it is. Oops. Wonder if I can find it. You guys can't even see what I'm doing. It's funny. Sorting through these tabs. Okay. Okay, so non-public health. Generalized non-public health description. Okay, so these are the non-public health. So this is our starting point. So I would say we actually, yeah, well, let's leave it like this. I want to actually create copies of these before we start marking them up. So let me just make a copy really quick. I think I've done this in the past. Okay, so we've got the two non-public health in the agenda now. Let me get the public health one. So we probably need to move those into a folder too to get it more right. Let's see, considerations, project team, job description. Non-public, public. New public health job description. So I think this is probably it. Yeah, this looks like the final, right? Sure. So again, let me make a quick copy, but then this is what, these are the ones now for you guys to add your comments and edits and all of that. Okay. And so we get on that. And then let me do this, make a copy of this last one. Okay, great. So I think that covers everything in terms of, like you're saying, Cassidy, I would say just at this point, you know, you guys, if you want to add any comments, edits, what have you, just do it as soon as you can. Because I'll just get to it as soon as I can. And then we'll just have, you know, some versions that we're ready to put out by, like I said, by Wednesday at the latest. Does that sound good?
Yep, sounds good.
Okay.
And then I just wanted to just again acknowledge Isa for all of her work with the QR code stuff last week. She did a great job, and that was really cool to see. She just took charge and made it happen, and that was awesome. So I just, when you watch this, Isa, thank you for all of your hard work. That's really awesome, and the team appreciates it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, thank you, Isa, too. Really great that you did that and really brought us into a new realm. And even, you know, watching the video of you handing it out to people, it was brilliant. I think that's great, and we get to put that on our website and all these great things. So that's really awesome. The one thing that I wanted to bring up in this meeting, and I know we don't have a lot of time to talk about it now, but I want us to kind of figure it out, is okay, so we've got all of those people showing up. Now, what do we do to close the deal with them, right? So we've answered some questions. You know, this person joined via the link, but they haven't seen anything yet. You know, some of these others, you know, they ask questions, we gave them answers, but like, you know, how do we engage them to say, you know, to close the deal, basically, you know, to go from a prospect to, are you interested? You know, what else can we show you? What are you interested in? You know, some of them we started to get into a dialogue with, and that's where I was, you know, going ahead. And at first I was going to say to them, and I think I said to one of them, you know, you want to set up like a private chat or a Zoom or whatever. But then I was realizing, but the whole point of this is as I answer one, all of them are seeing it. But at some point, I think we need to identify each one, who, treat them as a person, who they are, what are you interested in? Let's talk about it. Let's, you know, and go from, yeah, we have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's awesome. So we have 10 prospects. So how many of them are we going to have join our team, right? Like what, like how many do we expect would be really interested and engaged by what we're doing, right? What do we think our percentage closing rate is? What are we going to do to march each one of them through a process of giving them the information they want, identifying their needs, identifying if they're doing it for practical, all that sort of stuff, right? So I think we did the first part great. We attracted interest, awesome. Now, what do we do to convert that interest into, you know, at least narrowing down, you know, if it's a good match, and then, you know, at least for some of them, you know, recruiting them, you know, getting them to join our team, basically. So I'm just going to leave it as an open-ended question now because, you know, I guess we could talk about it for a couple minutes. I want to respect that we're already a bit over. I think that if they're interested, we could tell them they could apply through Handshake. I think that that is one approach, Tatiana, that we can do, but I feel like we haven't done enough to make them all interested yet. You know, I think we've done very basic levels of interest, and I think, you know, we could say something like that, but I think that we really need to get more interested first. And I think that we don't even necessarily have to, it's kind of like punting. It's kind of like, you know, hey, if you're interested, sign up on, you know, go ahead and apply on Handshake. But really it's more of like, Handshake is what we use to get them to show up and say, I'm interested. We've already gotten them to show up and say, I'm interested. So now what do we do to convert that interest into, you know, again, attracting them to want to be a part of the project, right? So, you know, again, from my perspective, there's a bunch of different ways that I would manage communications with them to try to do all of that. But I know the point of this is for you guys to be managing all of these communications and you guys be marching them towards, you know, conversion into, you know, being interested in joining the project, right? Part of this is that I don't have to keep doing all of the, you know, meetings and all the everything, right? That you guys can do some of this process here. right? So again, what do you guys think are good targets for out of 10 people, how many should go to whatever stage 2 is? And out of those people that go to stage 2, how many should go to stage 3? And which stages do we have between showing an interest and becoming a team member and that sort of thing, right? So let me hear you guys' thoughts, and then you guys tell me where you want to leave it and how you want to continue, managing this.
I think out of the 10 who apply, I feel like, I don't know, I feel like maybe 4, maybe, I don't know. Kind of just be,
Four
4
should
would be
be
taken
joining.
to the next level, because not everyone, because I know sometimes I just apply for things and I don't actually go to it or go through with it. So I know that's common with a lot of people.
Okay. So 4 to go, not when you say the next level, do you mean like join the team, or you're saying next level of interest?
Next level as like joining the team, like
So-
fully embarking on joining the team.
Joining the team. Okay. So maybe like 40% closing rate. And then, in order to get that, we need to maybe have however many we need to set up interviews with, or whatever it's going to be. We need to answer questions. We need to find out what teams they're interested in and what specifics and that sort of thing. So again, I want to kind of create a process, right? And this is a process that, we should have in general in terms of what stages are, but we need to this is actually where each one of these people should make it into our HubSpot. We should identify where they are within, similarly to how we're doing, what communication stage they're at, right? Similar to the career services offices and the student groups, we should have communication stages with individual students that have expressed an interest, and how do we move them through the stages, and what do we show them, what do we ask them, what do we tell them, what do we find out, and then be doing it with all of them, right? So I think and maybe we can have some kind of attraction, for those of you that are interested, we're going to do this. We just have to figure out, how do we incentivize this process, and how do we do it, in a relatively speedy format without, repeating too. That's part of the challenge, right? Is like, now that these 2 were repeats of what I had sent a few days ago, right? So ISA2 repeated them because none of these people had seen that, right? So, okay, great, it was appropriate. These got repeated, now these people have seen it. Okay, but now we have this new person. So what do we post for this new person that isn't going to be a repeat for these old people, right? Like, if we just, like, this new person should see this, and this new person should see this, but those are what those other people just saw, right? So again, that's where we have to figure out, like, how do we manage this efficiently and effectively, that we're not, we're getting the right things to the right people and move them along. You get what I'm saying? So, okay, I'll leave it at that. Let's maybe have some answers for that by next week, but also let's figure out how we can convert these people this week, while we still have them relatively warm, right? Like, let's go back, like, what can we say to, answer further questions, get them interested, share information, set up interviews, all of that. Because I agree, Tatiana, I think we could have probably at least 4, people out of that. Because again, remember, for sure, these are not all the people that saw the flyers. This is just a percentage, probably a relatively small percentage of the people that saw the flyers. I would guess probably 20% of or less of people who saw the flyer actually went ahead and zapped it and joined the chat, right? So we already know they have a certain level of interest out of all the people that are out there. So let's really, like, imagine that each one of these 10 is a pot of gold. What are we going to do to cultivate them and have them join, right? Okay, I've talked enough about that. Let's just, maybe we can say by when we're going to have some thought through strategy of how to follow up with these specific people to move them further along in the process. What should we say about that, Cassidy? What do you think is our best way of continuing and following up with these people?
I think realistically having an actual process, probably not till next Monday, just with everything else we have on our plates this week to get done. I know it's important, but I don't think realistically we have time to do that with all of the other stuff. So I think next Monday is a good time frame.
I think that sounds reasonable in terms of you know, a formalized process, but I do think that we should do something to follow up with these people before then to get these people further through, because I'm afraid if we just, you know, don't do anything for the next few days with them, that they're gonna, you know, disappear and not be interested. They were interested last week. We're already, you know, a week beyond that. Let's see if we can recapture their interest and, you know, do something. So formalized process by, you know, Monday, maybe like a plan of what we can do with these people, maybe by like noon on Wednesday or something like that. How does that sound to you guys? So we can just be in the chat about that and suggest different things and, you know, figure out how we're going to deal with it. Sound good? Okay, great. And we'll have that make it into the minutes as well, so we can see that and follow up with that. Okay, perfect. Okay, good. I know we covered more than you were planning with that, Cassidy. Let me allow you to jump back into the agenda and take us home.
Yeah, I think the last part of the agenda, I think we can probably push off. We had just talked about last week, potentially like starting to set targets for next semester and how many students we want to get by spring, things like that. I'm going to have to go in a minute because we've run pretty long today. So I think that's fine to wait. I think it'll be easier to set a realistic target once we actually start communicating with schools as well. So if you're okay with that, Jared, I think we can push that to either next week or even the week after for brainstorming those targets.
Yeah, I'd like, we can revisit it in 2 weeks, but I would like to set targets next week because we're already, again, getting near, you know, this window where we need to get people in here now. So, so let's definitely set some targets next week as a starting point for us.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, great. Awesome. I know we covered a lot. Thank you guys. Let me give some more claps for all of the efforts and all of the flowing and definitely in action. This team is definitely in action right now. We've done a lot to lay a lot of foundation. Thank you, Cassidy and Tatiana and Isa too, for all of that foundation laying. And now, you know, here we are and we're getting everything, all these other things we've got to get buttoned up to be able to, you know, be awesome. So I really appreciate it. I'm really excited for us to be sending out, you know, messages tomorrow and really engaging and really beginning this process of really reaching out to the world and bringing them on in. Now is our time. Awesome. Thank you guys. You guys are great. I appreciate you. Way to go, team. Recruitment in the house. Thank you. Have a great night. See you guys later.